The lower streets of Virex City never slept. Light from broken signs washed the alleys in dull colors, and the air smelled of spice, oil, and old metal. Creatures from many worlds moved through the narrow paths, always watching, always careful. This place belonged to those who understood it. 3 alien girls leaned against a cracked wall near a food stall that had been closed for years. They looked relaxed, but their eyes missed nothing. They were sisters by choice, not blood. Life on the street had taught them to trust only each other. Skaya was the tallest. Her skin shimmered like dark glass, and thin lines of silver ran along her arms. She was the thinker, the one who planned. Nira was smaller, fast-moving, with bright eyes and sharp teeth that showed when she smiled. She liked taking risks. Luma stood between them, quiet and strong, with soft blue skin and hands that could bend steel wire. She rarely spoke, but when she did, the others listened. They survived by being smart. Sometimes that meant trading information. Sometimes it meant stealing. And sometimes it meant hunting. Humans were rare in Virex City, very rare. Most humans stayed in clean districts or near spaceports. The streets whispered stories about them. Soft bodies, strange tastes, easy prey if caught alone. So when Nira spotted one, she almost laughed. "Look," she murmured, nodding down the alley. A human male walked alone, hands in his jacket pockets. No visible weapon, no armor, just simple clothes and calm steps. He moved like someone who did not expect trouble. Skaya narrowed her eyes. "That makes no sense." "No guards," Nira said. "No escort. Maybe he's lost." Luma watched closely. Or, stupid. The human stopped at a corner, glanced up at a broken sign, and then changed direction, choosing the darker path. That was when Skaya felt a strange chill. "He knows where he is," she said. Nira grinned. Even better. They stepped away from the wall and followed him, keeping distance. The alley twisted and narrowed. Pipes dripped warm water. Far above, something howled. The human did not hurry. He walked as if the streets belonged to him. After a minute, he stopped and turned. "You 3 are not subtle," he said calmly. Nira froze. Luma's hand moved slightly. "Ready." Skaya felt irritation rise. Most prey panicked. This one sounded bored. "You noticed us," Skaya said, stepping forward. "Good." The human smiled. Hard not to. His eyes moved over them, not hungry, not afraid, curious. Like he was solving a puzzle. "What's a human doing here?" Nira asked. "This area eats people." "I heard," the human replied. "I wanted to see if the stories were true." Luma frowned. "You are alone." "Yes. That is unwise." "Depends," he said, "on who finds me." Nira laughed softly. "You found us." "Looks like it." There was a pause. The sounds of the city filled the space between them. Skaya studied him. No shaking, no fast breathing, no signs of panic. "You know what we are," she said. "I have guesses," the human replied. "Street survivors, not killers. Not today, anyway." That annoyed Nira. "You talk like you know us." "I know types," he said. "Cities make the same kinds of people everywhere." Luma stepped closer. She was taller than him, heavier. "Some types don't walk away." The human nodded. "True." "Are you scared?" Nira asked. He thought for a moment. "Alert," he said. "Not scared." That answer felt wrong. Skaya felt it settle in her mind like a stone. "What's your name?" she asked. "Jonah," he said. "Yours?" Nira blinked. "You think we'll tell you?" "I think you might," Jonah said. "If we talk long enough," Nira snarled, but Skaya raised a hand. "Careful," she said. Then to Jonah. "Why are you really here?" Jonah glanced down the alley behind them, then back at her. "Learning," he said. "Humans are expanding. Cities like this matter." "To who?" Nira asked. "To everyone," Jonah replied. "Especially the people who live between the lights." Skaya felt a slow shift in the air. This was no lost traveler. You picked the wrong place to study, she said. Maybe, Jonah said, but the right teachers. Luma's fingers twitched. You think we won't eat you? Jonah looked at her directly. I think if you wanted to, I wouldn't be standing here. That was true. And they all knew it. Nira clicked her tongue. Confident meat. Jonah smiled faintly. I hear humans taste bad. Skaya almost laughed despite herself. Come with us, Nira said suddenly. If you're so curious. Jonah tilted his head. Where? Somewhere safer, Skaya said. Or more dangerous. Depends. He considered, then nodded. Lead the way. They walked together through twisting paths. The three girls ahead, Jonah behind, then sometimes beside them. He asked questions. Simple ones. Who controlled which blocks? Which signs meant danger? Which meant opportunity? Most outsiders never asked those questions. They just ran or died. You learn fast, Luma said finally. I have to, Jonah replied. Humans don't survive long if we don't. Nira glanced back. You really think you belong here? Jonah met her eyes. Everywhere humans go, we learn to belong. They reached a small open space lit by a single flickering lamp. Other street dwellers watched from shadows but did not approach. Something about Jonah made them hesitate. Skaya stopped. This is far enough. Jonah nodded. Fair. Nira crossed her arms. So now what? Now, Jonah said, you decide what kind of story this becomes. Skaya studied him one last time. He stood relaxed, but she sensed layers beneath that calm. Plans within plans. We don't eat you, she said slowly. Not tonight, Jonah smiled. I appreciate that. But, Nira added, we don't trust you either. Smart, Jonah said. Luma looked up at the broken lamp. You will come back. Yes, Jonah said. If you'll have me. The three girls watched as he turned and walked away, vanishing into the maze of streets, like he had never been prey at all. Nira broke the silence. That human was strange. Skaya nodded. Yes, Luma's voice was quiet. We were not hunting him. Skaya felt the truth settle in her chest. No, she said. We were being studied. Somewhere deep in Vyrek City, a rumor was already forming. A human had walked the understreets alone and left untouched. The next cycle in Vyrek City began with rain made of warm mist and chemical dust. It clung to skin and metal alike, turning the streets slick and reflective. Skaya stood near the edge of a high walkway, watching traffic move below like slow rivers of light. She had not slept well. The image of the human walking away untouched kept returning to her thoughts. Jonah had returned, just as Luma predicted. He appeared near their usual corner, hands empty, posture calm. He did not search for them with his eyes. He simply waited, leaning against a wall as if he belonged there. That alone made several passers-by uneasy. Nira noticed him first and let out a quiet laugh. He really came back. Of course he did, Luma said. He said he would. Skaya felt something twist inside her. Humans keep promises, she said. Though she was not fully sure why she believed that. They approached him openly this time. No hiding. No tricks. You're early, Nira said. I didn't want to miss you, Jonah replied. This area wakes up angry. Nira smirked. You learn fast. Not fast enough, Jonah said. That's why I'm here. They walked together again, but this time Jonah stayed closer, matching their pace. He listened more than he spoke, letting the city tell its story through them. He learned where water was clean, where food was safe, and where lies were sold cheaply. At a narrow bridge over a power channel, they stopped. Two groups argued on opposite sides, voices rising. The tension was thick, like a storm about to break. Don't stare, Skaya whispered. That pulls attention. Jonah nodded and turned away slightly. What's the dispute? Access rights, Luma said. Old tech tunnel. Both sides want it. Jonah watched reflections ripple in the channel below. They don't need to fight, Nira snorted. They always fight. Jonah stepped forward before Skaya could stop him. He raised his hands, palms open, and spoke in a calm, clear voice. He did not shout. He did not threaten. He asked questions. Simple ones. Who needed the tunnel now? Who needed it later? What would happen if it collapsed from misuse? The arguing slowed. Voices dropped. Confusion replaced anger. Skaya watched in disbelief as the groups began to talk instead of shout. Jonah suggested time-sharing, maintenance trade, and neutral watchers. Solutions no one else had bothered to suggest. Within minutes, the groups separated peacefully, muttering but no longer hostile. Neera stared at Jonah. You didn't even know them. I didn't need to, Jonah said. People want to be heard more than they want to win. Luma tilted her head. That was dangerous. Jonah shrugged. Everything is. They moved on. But word spread quickly. A human had stepped into a dispute and walked out untouched. That was not normal. Later, they sat in a quiet corner where heat vents warmed the ground. Jonah shared food packs from Earth. The taste was strange but filling. Why us? Skaya asked suddenly. Why did you choose us? Jonah looked thoughtful. Because you didn't rush, he said. You watched. That tells me you survive. By thinking. Not just reacting. Neera frowned. You're using us. Yes, Jonah said honestly. And you're using me. That answer surprised them. How? Neera asked. You learn how humans think, Jonah said. That could keep you alive later. Luma considered that. You plan far ahead. We have to, Jonah replied. Our world trained us that way. They walked deeper into the city, into places even the girls avoided. Jonah never pushed. When they hesitated, he stopped. When they warned him, he listened. That earned trust faster than fear ever could. As cycles passed, Jonah became a familiar sight. He learned names. He traded favors. He connected people who needed each other, but did not trust each other. Small changes, almost invisible, began to spread. The girls noticed it first. Markets felt calmer. Fewer sudden disappearances, more shared routes. Jonah never claimed credit. He just kept walking. One cycle, Skaya found him speaking with a data broker known for lies. She felt alarm rise. But Jonah simply listened. He asked questions that made lying difficult. The broker left confused and quieter than before. You collect people, Skaya said afterward. I connect them, Jonah corrected. Big difference. Neera crossed her arms. You're changing things. Yes. For humans? For everyone, Jonah said. That night, a rumor reached them. Another group had noticed Jonah. Not street-level survivors, but organized controllers. The kind who preferred things chaotic because chaos was profitable. Luma spoke softly. They will test him. They already are, Jonah said. That's fine. Skaya felt a sharp edge of worry. You won't always be able to talk your way through. Jonah met her gaze. No, he said. But neither can they. The next meeting was no accident. Jonah was invited to a neutral space under the city. A place of old machines and echoing halls. The girls went with him, refusing to let him go alone. The controllers arrived in silence. They studied Jonah like a tool they hadn't decided to use or discard. You disrupt balance, one said. Jonah nodded. I adjust it. You are prey, another said. Jonah smiled slightly. Then you should have eaten me earlier. The controllers exchanged glances. They were unused to calm defiance. Jonah spoke of trade, of stability, of long-term gains. He spoke of humans arriving soon. Not as conquerors, but as neighbors who adapted quickly and remembered who treated them well. The meeting ended without threats, without promises. But Jonah walked out alive. Outside, Neera let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. You're insane, possibly, Jonah said. Skaya watched the city lights shimmer above them. You didn't come here to survive. No, Jonah agreed. I came to understand. Luma looked at him. And now? Now, Jonah said. I see who matters. The girls exchanged looks. Something had shifted. They were no longer hunters circling prey. They were allies standing beside something new. In the depths of Virex City, the idea took root quietly. Humans were not weak, they were patient. And patience, here, was power. Virex City changed slowly. The way stone changes underwater. No single moment marked it. No loud announcement. Just small shifts that only those who lived deep in the streets could feel. Skaya felt it first. The city no longer pressed on her chest the way it used to. The paths felt more open. Even though nothing had moved, Jonah was still there. He did not rise in status or claim territory. He walked. He listened. He remembered names. He remembered favors. In Virex City, memory was more valuable than credits. Skaya watched him speak with a group of workers near a broken lift shaft. They complained about lost access, about fees rising without reason. Jonah asked who controlled the power lines. He asked who repaired them. He asked who paid when things failed. By the end of the talk, a plan existed. No orders, no threats, just shared benefit. The workers left calmer than they arrived. "You don't fix things," Nira said later as they walked. "You rearrange them." Jonah nodded. Problems are usually people standing in the wrong places. Luma considered that. "You make enemies without meaning to." "Yes," Jonah said, "but fewer than if I used force." That word followed them. Force. Something humans were known for in stories. Yet Jonah carried none. He relied on time, trust, and understanding. To the girls, that was more frightening than strength. One cycle, they reached a market where voices suddenly dropped. Eyes followed Jonah. Not fear. Awareness. "They know you," Skaya whispered. "They know of me," Jonah corrected. Big difference. A young alien approached, nervous but determined. "Human," he said. "My route is blocked. No one will listen." Jonah listened. That became common. People came with problems. Jonah never promised solutions. He only promised to try to connect the right voices. Slowly, quietly, the girls realized something dangerous. Jonah was becoming necessary. That night, Skaya confronted him near a silent transport rail. "Necessity creates targets," she said. Jonah leaned against the cold metal. "I know. Then why continue?" "Because if I stop," Jonah replied, "the chaos returns worse than before." Luma spoke from the shadows. "You believe you are responsible?" "Yes," Nira scoffed. "Humans take responsibility for things that aren't theirs." Jonah smiled faintly. "That's how we survive." The test came without warning. A supply exchange failed in the lower rings. Accusations spread fast. Routes closed. Panic followed. Old habits returned, sharp and fast. People looked to Jonah. The controllers saw opportunity. They spread lies quietly. That Jonah favored some over others. That humans planned to control the streets. That cooperation was weakness. Skaya heard the whispers first. Her skin prickled. "They're turning people," she warned Jonah. Jonah nodded. "I expected that." "You're not reacting," Nira said. "I am," Jonah replied. Just not loudly. He changed nothing. That confused everyone. When a crowd formed near a junction, voices angry and afraid, Jonah walked straight into it. The girls followed. Hearts tight. "You lied to us," someone shouted. Jonah raised his hands. "Maybe," he said calmly. "Tell me how." The crowd hesitated. Anger stumbled without a clear target. One by one, voices spoke. Conflicting stories. Confusion. Jonah listened, repeating each concern back clearly. People began to hear themselves. The lies unraveled under their own weight. The controllers watched from afar, displeased. That night, Jonah finally spoke of Earth, not as a place of power, but of danger, of storms and predators, of a world where survival demanded cooperation and planning beyond instinct. "Humans didn't become this way by choice," Jonah said as they rested near a heat vent. "We became this way because we had to." Skaya felt something click into place. "You don't dominate environments," she said slowly. "You adapt to them until they fit you." Jonah nodded. And once adapted, we protect them. Luma's voice was quiet. You protect even places that hurt you. Yes, Jonah said. The controllers made their final move soon after. They cut access points, isolated sections, and waited for panic to break the fragile calm Jonah had built. But panic did not come. People shared routes. Markets coordinated. Old rivals communicated. Jonah had connected them well enough that they did not need him in every moment. That realization struck the controllers like a cold wave. Jonah was not a leader. He was a catalyst. When the controllers finally confronted him again, their voices held less certainty. You planned this? One accused. Jonah shook his head. I prepared for it. Skaya stood beside him openly now. So did Nira and Luma. Others joined. Not a crowd. A network. You are prey, the controller said. Weaker this time. Jonah met their gaze. No, he said. I'm a neighbor. The word spread faster than fear ever had. That night, Viewership City breathed easier. Not safe. Never safe. But steadier. Skaya looked out over the lights and understood the truth. The girls had once wanted to eat the human. Now they stood guard beside him. And Jonah, patient and calm, was already thinking ahead. Viewership City did not celebrate victories. It absorbed them. After the controllers lost their grip, there were no cheers, no banners, no sudden peace. The city simply continued, but differently. Routes stayed open longer. Markets spoke to each other before problems grew sharp. People waited, listened, adjusted. Jonah walked the streets as always, same pace, same calm. But now, when he passed, heads nodded. Not in respect alone, but in recognition. Skaya noticed something else. Fewer eyes followed Jonah with hunger. More followed him with thought. Nira noticed it too. They don't see him as food anymore. They never did, Luma replied. They just didn't know it. One cycle, ships arrived. Not warships, not shining threats. Simple human vessels, worn and practical, docking at the outer platforms. Traders, engineers, mediators, planners. Humans who looked at Viewership City and did not flinch. Rumors moved faster than light. Humans were coming. Some feared invasion. Others hoped for protection. Jonah corrected neither. They will decide for themselves, he told the girls. The first human delegation walked the lower streets under Jonah's guidance. No armor, no force, only knowledge and patience. They asked the same questions Jonah had asked weeks ago. Who controls water? Who fixes power? Who listens when things break? Skaya watched the city react. No panic. No chaos. Because Jonah had prepared them without ever saying he was doing so. You planned this from the start, she said quietly as they walked. Jonah shook his head. I hoped for it, Nira snorted. That's planning. Jonah smiled but said nothing. The alien girls found themselves in new roles. Not hunters, not prey, guides, interpreters, bridges. They moved between humans and locals, explaining customs, smoothing edges before they cut. Luma spoke once during a tense exchange, her deep voice steady. They do not want to own this place, she said. They want to understand it. The tension eased. That night, Skaya sat with Jonah above a power channel, watching reflections twist and merge. What happens now? She asked. Jonah considered. Humans settle, he said. Slowly. Carefully. We learn who we can trust. And those you can't? Nira asked. Jonah looked at the city. We don't fight first. We outlast. That answer felt very human. Time passed. Not cycles. Not days. Just time. Humans became part of Viewership City. Not rulers, not saviors, neighbors. They fixed systems others ignored. They mapped chaos. They remembered favors longer than grudges. The Undercity adjusted again. One evening, Skaya realized something unsettling. Jonah was no longer necessary. People solved disputes without him. Networks functioned without his presence. The city no longer leaned on him to stay balanced. She confronted him gently. They don't need you anymore. Jonah nodded. Good. You don't seem sad. I'd be worried if they did, he replied. Nira frowned. So you leave? Eventually, Jonah said. Humans don't stay where we are no longer useful. Luma felt a quiet weight settle in her chest. You were useful. Jonah met her gaze. You were more so. The truth landed softly but firmly. The girls had changed too. They no longer hunted the weak. They protected connections. They saw the city as a system, not a feeding ground. Hunger still existed, but it no longer ruled them. One last test came when a distant faction tried to push into Virex City. Hearing rumors of softness, they found none. They found cooperation. Information shared across layers. Humans and locals responding as one body without orders. The faction withdrew, confused and wary. A new rumor spread afterward, quieter but stronger. Humans did not conquer cities. They taught cities how to defend themselves. On Jonah's final cycle, the girls walked with him to the edge of the lower district. Transport lights glowed ahead. You'll come back, Nira said. Yes, Jonah replied. If I'm needed. Skaya studied him. You were never prey. Jonah smiled. Neither were you. Luma spoke last. What do humans want, really? Jonah paused, choosing his words carefully. A place where tomorrow is more predictable than today, he said. And people willing to build that with us. He turned and walked toward the light. The girls watched until he vanished into the flow of the city. Later, when new travelers asked about humans, Skaya answered simply, They adapt, she said. And if you let them, they help you adapt too. And, far above Virex City, Earth ships moved on to other stars. Below, the streets continued, alive and complex. The alien girls returned to their corner, no longer waiting to hunt. They were waiting to see who would become something more. And deep in the city's systems, a quiet truth remained. They had wanted to eat the human, but humanity had already eaten the fear, the chaos, and the darkness, and turned it into home.